Going to Portland, LeDoux Martin, the tall, willowy center of Chicago Loyola. The number 2 choice going to Buffalo was Big Bob McAdoo, the undergraduate from North Carolina. Then an interesting development, Ralph Simpson of Michigan State, Julius Erving of Massachusetts, drafted respectively by Chicago and Milwaukee. Interesting because each man is already in the ABA. Simpson with Denver, Erving with Virginia. And it would seem clear that there is in prospect a war between the two leagues for the services of these two young men, Erving already having said he's dissatisfied in Virginia. Finally, you'll remember on April 13th, our first Monday night sports special, we dealt with the hardship case of Brian Taylor, Jr. at Princeton. Seattle drafted Brian in the 2nd round today, and the New York Nets have the rights to him in the ABA. He told me on the phone earlier today that as of now, he likes New York. So he'd be in the ABA. But money will be the key. And if you want to see what money in basketball can do for a man in the way of material accomplishments and all the rest, just watch this.
What you're looking at is neither an airline terminal or a resort hotel. No, this is a private home, sitting majestically on one of the highest hills in the sumptuous Bel Air section of Los Angeles. It's a domicile as dazzling as Disneyland and even larger than its owner, who is a giant of a man. There are 21 rooms here, a bed 8.5 feet long, and a swimming pool 15 feet deep. They say it's the deepest private pool in America. In height, it's 2.5 times higher than Shell Izakson's new world pole vault record. The front door, which you'll see here, is 14 feet high and weighs 1 ton. The owner of this house, well, the owner is Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain, star 7-foot basketball player of the Los Angeles Lakers. The house is his new retreat from the noise, turmoil, and pressures of his daily work, which is helping his team battle for the NBA championship. Wilt agreed to give us his own description of this marvelous pad on a hilltop. Here he is, big as life.
Well, like most people, I always dreamed of owning a home, and being fortunate enough to have traveled most of the world, I had a chance to see a lot of things that I really enjoyed as far as wanting to put into a house if I had a chance to build one. And finally, my realization of where I wanted to live came to be when I was traded here to Los Angeles. And I realized this is where I really wanted to build my home. So I started the project about 3 years ago with a lot of help from my architect and some other people who were very interested in helping me get this venture, going. And fortunately, now that it's completed, it turned out a lot better than we all had anticipated. And that's why I'm really sort of happy I have a chance to show it in this particular way to a lot more people who will never get a chance to see it on a personal level. As you look around the house, you'll see a lot of different things that really represent something to me. It's really an incorporation of so many people's thoughts and so many things that I've been involved in, and it's just really sort of like too complex to just sum it up in a sentence. It really is a lot of different things, as I think I'm probably a lot of different things. Being a man of 7 feet in stature, it's sort of hard to go into most houses without having to duck and hit your head. But yet I have friends of all, ranges of size, and it was important to me that they felt comfortable in my house, and also, of course, I definitely want to feel comfortable. It's just nothing very ordinary about the house. Like, for instance, if you're an ecology nut or you really believe in ecology like I do, you wonder why I have these Alaskan Arctic wolf noses that I'm sitting on here. Well, these were bounty animals at the time in which I bought the furs, and they had to be killed. And I bought them about 8 years ago and had them in cold storage. Now they are not bounty animals anymore, and you, of course, cannot kill them. I have some things in the house like the eagle, which was made by a sculptor out of Santa Barbara, which was made out of an old car. And the eagle, almost like the stars, represents a thing of freedom. To me, birds, there's a lot of birds throughout my house and pictures and so on and so forth, because I think they represent the ultimate freedom that man has strived for. They have the ability seemingly to fly anywhere they want to fly and go anywhere they want to go, and yet they're powerful, they're sensitive. There's something about them that I think that we as a man try to really get involved in. Probably one of the favorite pieces in the house for me is the dining room table, which is a round object, which is one of the few round things we have. in the house, and also made of Brazilian rosewood, and it seats 12. It sits under this beautiful chandelier that we designed, got from Italy, and it's really sort of like a spectacular setting in there because it also has a great view from that room.
We're in the kitchen now, a kitchen that has a cutting block suitable for medieval executions. It takes 6 men to move it. It weighs 2,000 pounds, which makes it just as heavy as the front door.
I really appreciate the kitchen because I like to eat, and it's just a groovy kitchen for cooking. I consider myself a fairly good cook, but a better eater. You know. And then as you walk around from that room, you can walk into the living room, which has the swimming pool flowing through one of the angles. The water also is incorporated into the house because it's sort of like surrounded by water on almost 3 sides, so you can go indoors and outdoors. We also have a pool room, which I sort of hesitate to mention because once I mention the pool room, people think that I'm a pool shark, and I'm actually a very bad pool shooter, and all my guests come in, they have a chance to really feel at home and beat me at pool. And sometimes I think they think that I'm allowing them to do so to be a perfect host, but I've become somewhat uptight about it because I'm really very, very bad. But I have a friend who is a great pool shooter who promised me in a couple of months or so I will be adequate enough to beat most of my guests to come in. And then you have what I call my playroom or double X room. It's done in purple velvet with a water bed right in the middle. And you go in there and you can sit down there and listen to the music and just really sort of like feel as though you're in a different world. People say, well, with that type of house, do you live with anyone? And I have a housekeeper who lives on the premises, and also have 3 Great Danes, which I'm very, very fond of, and they and myself really, you know, have a very enjoyable time here. We have all sorts of levels to the house. The highest level is the master bedroom. It's somewhat different than most bedrooms. We have a few things that we consider so unique and sort of nice. You can sort of like push a button while you're laying in bed, and a portion of the roof slides back, and you're able to see but fresh air, which seems like it's a gas, and it really is. You know, it seems like the things that are really free are the ones that you really appreciate the most. So being able to see just some free fresh air out of a bedroom, you know, really makes it nice. We have also a Roman tub, which is right in the bedroom, which is a little bit different than a lot of people have in their homes because, you know, they usually set the bathrooms apart from the house. I am a bachelor, so I try to create a type of house that would give me the mood that a bachelor would normally like to have. The house is also rather spacious in areas, but we try to make it somewhat comfortable so anyone could come here and feel like, you know, they're very, very comfortable in it. It has a cathedral look to it because I believe churches to be a very, very beautiful thing, and I try to get a little bit of that feeling in, you know, into my house. I just like to say that I'm really fortunate, and I possibly think that probably this couldn't have happened to a fellow like myself anywhere else but in America. And I'm not trying to, you know, hey, sell the stars and stripes or anything, but I've, as I said, have been all over the world almost, and I just think that, hey, I'm really a very fortunate individual that I was born here and that I'm an American citizen, because I think that this represents that I came from, you know, like where a lot of other basketball players came from, and to be able to do something of this particular nature, you know, was a great undertaking. Of course, it was a monetary type of thing too, and basketball has done that for me.
Wilt's new Wonderland of the West, a place where one might celebrate victory, or as Wilt might be doing right this minute after last night's crushing defeat to the Milwaukee Bucks, bind up the wounds of defeat. Yet to come, Players Representative Marvin Miller and National League President Chub Feeney with the very latest on the baseball strike, and in a minute, comments from star players.
Once there was a typical young family who didn't want to look typical. They dreamed of owning a mid-sized car with value and pizzazz. Pizzazz! But every car they saw looked so typical. Alas, no pizzazz. Pizzazz! They almost gave up hope when there it was, their dream car, a wide-track Pontiac Le Mans, loaded with value and pizzazz! Typical. If you don't want to look typical, buy yourself an untypical Pontiac Le Mans.
Monday Night Sports continues with comments from striking big-name baseball players after this pause.
Richard Boone stars in the movie of the week tomorrow night on ABC.
Let's play cards.
Some things are a sure bet. If you think Bud is sort of special, that's all the more reason to make it your regular beer. Think about it.
What you got? 5 kings. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
You've said it all.
The Satan Bug tomorrow night at 6:30.
The previously announced segment on the 12th hole of the Augusta National Golf Club will be seen on ABC's Wide World of Sports this coming Saturday afternoon. Well, the crocuses are in bloom in New York and the azaleas are out in the Carolinas, but one important thing is still missing from the springtime scene in the United States so far this year: Big League Baseball. The continuing Major League Players strike has become the big sports story of the moment, and tonight on Monday Night Sports, we're going to cover it just as completely as we can. Later on, for example, Howard will be along with word on just how the strike situation stands at this moment, and his coverage will include interviews with some of the most important people involved in the negotiations. But there are other aspects to this thing. I think, for example, the guy who rides the subway in New York or tills his farm in Iowa or works in the factory in Pittsburgh has been asking why in the world would a man who's making up to $200,000 a year want to go on strike? What could be so irreconcilable between him and the man he works for, between him and his boss, that he would have to go on strike? Well, in an effort to get the answer to these questions, we talked to some of the highest paid players in baseball, some of the biggest names in the history of the sport.
A lot of ball players, it sounds funny, a lot of ball players would play this game for nothing, and that's the truth. But those same ball players won't play the game if they feel like they're getting cheated, or if they feel like they're not being treated fairly. They feel, and I personally do, that you just haven't been fair with me. I mean, obviously, you must think that we're just and wanting just to be able to use our own monies. Well, they say you can't use your own monies. Well, I feel that I'm not being treated fairly, and I'll stay out of the ballpark until I feel that we reach a just settlement.
We've already agreed to the money that's to be put into the plan. We agreed on the length of the contract. That's 1 year. I don't know what else we can do. What they've done, they backed us into a corner, and that's just where we are right now.
I've been involved in the past in negotiations with the Major League owners group, and they sit on the other side of the table and really don't honestly and fairly negotiate.
Well, I don't feel like any of the owners ever took advantage of me. I feel like they were very good to me. I guess that maybe some players may feel like the owners took advantage of them, and probably there has been cases. But whenever you get $200,000 or $150,000 or $100,000 a year salary for 6 months' work, I don't feel like the owners are taking advantage there.
10 years ago, I begged the Dodgers for a chance to play baseball, and they gave me that chance. Now, I'm not going to turn around and strike against the club that put me in the major leagues when I so easily could have never played one professional baseball game.
My only regret is that we couldn't have straightened this thing out like men, instead of getting to name calling and having the public side with one side or the other. This thing should have been thought about years ago, that was going to come to an end sooner or later, so why not start negotiating sooner than that? The owners don't want a third party in. Maybe they're right. I don't really know. But we should never have gotten this far. We should take each other more seriously in the future.
One day it'll all be over, but when it is, will baseball ever be the same? How deep is the bitterness? How long will the bad feeling last?
Well, I think this is something you'll never live down. I think the words that have been spoken, and even though they say, well, it's nothing personal, but I think people are taking it to heart now, and I think you will never be able to heal these wounds now that these words have been said, and you always remember them in the back of your mind. So, as I say, I don't think we'll ever be able to live down what we've gone through in these last few days.
And one aspect of this whole thing is that the public and the press have gone to the side of the owner, and I think one of the reasons is because when you think of baseball players, you think of $120,000 ball players, $100,000 ball players. You forget about the individuals that make between $20,000 and $30,000 and play the game for 10 years, and it's very difficult. You live in three
3 places a year. You move 3 times a year. People come to New York. They go back home. They go to Florida. They, you know, have to make 3 residences, and it's a very glamorous life, you know, on the table. But there are many things behind the scene that well, people really don't know about.
Fans are getting completely fed up with the game of baseball the way it's been run these last 5 or 6 years, and I don't think baseball can stand what it's going through right now.
There are 2 sides to this story, of course. For the owner's reaction, Monday Night Sports talked with Michael Burke, president of the New York Yankees, in Yankee Stadium, a veritable cathedral of baseball. Are the owners hurting?
Yes, the strike has drawn some blood financially. We've lost a couple of $100,000 from our national TV package. We here in Yankee Stadium have dropped perhaps $250,000 because of losing the Baltimore series over this weekend. I'm sure there are other clubs that are suffering equally. We've been bruised, and of course the answer is that there are no winners in a situation like this.
Many people thought the baseball strike would never happen. Others thought it would be over in a couple of days. Both groups were wrong. Why are the owners being as adamant as they are? Again, the players' viewpoint.
We felt, with the information that we had in Florida, that we had a surplus in the pension fund because of higher interest rates and things. It had generated more money than we had anticipated. And we felt we should be able to use that money to buy more retirement benefits for ourselves. The owners would not let us use that money. It's our money, it's in our pension fund, but according to labor law, you can't do it without their consent. But they wouldn't give us consent to use that money. Well, with all the ramifications of the entire thing, you have to deduce that there's an ulterior motive for this thing. And I would think that they were trying to test initially to see how strong we are as an organization. After we did strike, they wanted to try and break us.
It seems to me now that the owners are perhaps trying to break Marvin Miller, but not so much the association. I think that they respect the fact that the players want to have an association and want to have themselves represented.
The owners, of course, would disagree. They say that their negotiations are neither aimed at Marvin Miller nor at breaking the players, but that they're a valid financial and actuarial consideration for the way that they feel. Howard will be along a little bit later with a report on how the situation stands on the strike at this hour. And right now, in 1 minute, we're going to have another story, a story on an athlete who works for $18 a month.
This is Joel Aldred for General Motors. During the life of your car, no matter what kind or how you drive, some components may be damaged through use, become worn, or require replacement. To help protect the safety and durability built into your car, it's up to you to see that it receives periodic inspections. Like most of us, you probably protect your car with traditional service checks and maintenance. This year, give your car a real lift. Ask your serviceman to put it up on the rack and check the underside and important components. Such a check should include the braking and steering systems, front and rear suspension, the whole exhaust system. Have him check the tires, any heavily rusted parts, the nuts, bolts, and welds that hold everything together. The whole inspection takes just a few minutes, and it's time well spent. At General Motors, we're concerned about the safety and performance of your car. You should be, too. For your car's sake, for your sake. But it is up to you.
It takes a special kind of man to appreciate great cars. He knows how well they're built. Their styling is timeless. Their engineering the most modern of its day. A man like this drives Pontiac's new Grand Prix because he likes the same feel of fine machinery, the timeless styling, the way it moves. He knows the new Pontiac Grand Prix is one of today's great cars.
You're in an arena in Spartanburg, South Carolina. The ring announcer is introducing one of the contestants in a very interesting amateur boxing match. Yes, this is Bobby Hunter, the National AAU flyweight boxing champion, bronze medalist in the Pan American Games, possible gold medalist in the Olympics at Munich this summer. Bobby Hunter, who has traveled far from the ghetto of Charleston, South Carolina, where he was raised, to South America, London, and Moscow. But when this slight young man, 5 feet 2 inches tall, 112 pounds, travels abroad representing the United States, he's different from his teammates. Bobby Hunter must be accompanied by a guard, not to protect him, but technically at least to watch him. Whenever he comes back home, he returns to this room, the room where almost all of his training is done. There are walls on 3 sides, but bars on the other, because here he's number 58951, a prisoner in Columbia, South Carolina. Bobby Hunter killed a man with a knife as a teenager, was sentenced to 18 years. He's been here since 1967.
What did you think about the world when you came here? When they said, Bobby, that's it. You're going to go in there and stay for quite a while.
Well, I thought it was just the end, you know. I said, well, that was it for me, you know. I'm just going to continue to do what I want to do. Just like I told, I didn't care what happened. I didn't care what happened to other people. And, you know, I just with myself, I only think about me and no one else. I didn't care. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And did that change at all until you picked up the boxing gloves? Or was it really the boxing gloves that changed?
Well, I think it was, well, really me, because prison can't change a man, because, well, I say that because if a man wants to change himself, he has to do it all himself, you know. All this rehabilitation, I'm thinking change a man. If a man want to do right, he can do right, but if he continue to do wrong and go back into society and do the things that he want to do, well, that's him, you know. So really, I don't think all this rehabilitation can really help him, man, unless he want to help himself, you know.
Everybody who's met you has been quite impressed with you, Bobby, and the first question they asked then is, what in the world did he do to get in there? What was the incident? What happened?
Well, I was shot with voluntary manslaughter, stabbed a man.
You think about that sometime?
Well, sometime, but really, I don't try to let it get me down, because, well, that's the past now. I'm over, and all I'm thinking about now is the future.
Did you ever stop to think that if that incident hadn't happened, the worst thing in your life, in a sense, the best thing in your life wouldn't have happened, would it? Which is boxing.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think you ever would have gotten to boxing on the outside?
No, I probably would have been, well, hanging around the street, probably doing the same thing that I always was doing.
Bobby Hunter does his morning road work inside the medium security prison. There are nearly 400 inmates, mostly in the 17 to 24 age group. The black-white ratio is 50-50. The men in here have been convicted for murder, rape, armed robbery, drugs. They live in 6 dormitory-like wards. The man who made the decision to permit Bobby Hunter to fight outside the prison is William D. Leake, the director of the South Carolina Department of Corrections. Well, this has become a very popular story now, but before you decided to let Bobby Hunter go outside, to go to South America, London, and Moscow, what were the pros and cons? There must have been things on both sides.
Well, of course, from my point of view as administrator of the Department of Corrections, I always risk the fact that if he were to escape in a foreign country like the Pan American Games, that extradition would be very difficult. In effect, we probably couldn't extradite him. But I think that in this day and time, we have to take a few chances on people. We took them on Bobby Hunter. He won the national championship. He's now hopefully going to the Olympic Games, and I think it paid off the chance we took.
Did you have any trouble on the other side with the Olympic Committee and people like that?
Well, in our initial conversation with the Olympic Committee, they were a little concerned over having an inmate in the correctional system participate in the Pan American Games. And after numerous letters of correspondence, telephone calls, they finally agreed that they would try it, and we were deeply appreciative of that fact. And I think he came through, winning a national championship for the state of South Carolina and out of a correctional institution.
There's a couple of the other guys working out in here. Apparently there's been quite a spin-off, as we say in the television business.
Very definitely. I think since Bobby won a national championship, it's inspired a lot of other people to try out their athletic abilities in the department, and we're delighted to see it. I think it gives them a chance to get rid of a lot of built-up tension and get in good condition and really get it out of their system.
I take it you think sports is pretty important in a correctional program?
Very definitely. I originally started in corrections and the coaching end of it, athletics and recreational activities, and I think that very definitely has a place. I think without it, we could have a lot of other problems without a good athletic program.
The recreation facilities at what the inmates call Fort Manning are crude, but better than you might expect. The recreation program is supervised by Correction Officer Ray Satterfield here and Director Wayne Carter. Until 14 months ago, Ray Satterfield was an assistant supervisor in a fiberglass plant. His brother Patrick, a correction officer for several years in South Carolina, persuaded Ray to help the prisoners get their heads together. Ray Satterfield is the man who accompanies Bobby Hunter outside the prison on his boxing trips.
Ray, at this point, you probably know Bobby Hunter as well or better than anybody else in the world. What kind of a young man is he? In what way is he different from the thousands of other young men who come through this institution?
Well, Jim, I think the biggest difference in Bobby is he has the drive and determination of a champion. All he has on his mind right now is making these Olympic trials and going to Munich.
How did you and Bobby get together?
Well, it was quite by accident, really, Jim. One afternoon, my supervisor asked for a volunteer to take some inmates down to the youth center where they could work out in the rain. And I had nothing planned for that afternoon, and I volunteered to take the boys down, and it grew from there.
How close are you and Bob?
We are friends. We're good friends, and we know one another real well, and Bobby knows what I expect of him, and I know what Bobby's going to do, and it's just a friendly relationship. You know?
What do you guys talk about on an airplane or when you're over in Moscow or someplace?
Well, the usual things, what two guys sit and rap about, you know.
Yeah?
Just the usual things, all the upcoming fight, the last fight, the pretty girls we've seen, the places we've been, where we're going.
Bobby Hunter folds sheets every afternoon in Manning's State Laundry. Folding sheets for $18 a month is the only steady job that Bobby Hunter has ever had. Growing up in Charleston, he dropped out of school in the 7th grade, twice did time for housebreaking and grand larceny before the manslaughter conviction. During his early years at Manning, his bitterness flared into 6 incidents that put him in solitary confinement for several days, in the hole, as the inmates call it. But since he began boxing, Bobby Hunter has changed. The kid who thought he was nobody has become somebody. When the lockup whistle blows, the inmates return to their wards for the afternoon count.
Five, 4, and 3. 5, 4, and 3. Count's correct.
But while the other prisoners are locked up, the gates open for Bobby Hunter. His success as a boxer has earned him the privilege of going nearly 100 miles for an exhibition bout in Spartanburg, out in what the inmates refer to as the free world.
You know, I keep remembering the first trip we made, you know, when we went to
South America?
No, when we went to Fort Bragg for the Pan Am trials. Oh, yeah. That always sticks in my mind. You know, you and Chris and myself, we had quite a good time up there. And, well, you put on quite a show up there, but I tell you that. We
finally caught out with him with a left hook.
The first time was with a left hook, but the next time was a straight right hand when you put him down for good. But he, you know, he was bouncing off those ropes, and he ran right smack into that one like it had his name on it, boy, right straight on the button. He went down like a ton of bricks.
I sure would like to fight this fellow who knocked me out the last time, over there in Russia. So whenever I step in the ring again, and when I face my opponent, I won't be thinking about that Russian.
You remember how cold it was when we stepped off that airplane?
It sure was. You know something funny would happen? The time when I washed my sweat socks and hang them out on the window, and I got them back in, it was like a piece of pasteboard still.
Yeah. It's been a long time. You know that?
Sure do, because I never thought I'd make it this far, you know? Because when we started out, I never had nothing. I didn't have the equipment to use. I didn't have any trunks, boxer shoes, everything that I had to borrow from somebody and then return back to them. Now I have everything of my own. Shoes, boxing gloves, everything.
Good. Okay, Bobby. You're doing fine. Just stick with it, Jeff, a little more. And you running them combinations on him beautifully. You come from under a little bit more. When you get in close, you can stick him inside, okay? All right, mouthpiece, Doc. Looking good, looking good. Looking good, baby.
Back up down.
Breathe in. Okay, Bobby. You sting him a little bit. Just sting him. Sting him just a little.
Bobby Hunter's opponent in Spartanburg is a North Carolina Golden Gloves champion, a 21-year-old welder named Joe Smith with a 7-pound weight advantage. In amateur competition, head guards are mandatory for these 3-round bouts. In the ring, Bobby Hunter resembles another boxer who grew up in South Carolina. His idol, heavyweight champion Joe Frazier. Bobby actually is a Joe Frazier in miniature, always moving forward, always looking to land a punch.
Boy, stick it right in his nose, Bobby. Punch inside, Bobby. Punch inside now.
Bobby Hunter has won 26 fights. In his 4 losses, he was stopped only once. That by a Russian whom he may box in the Olympics. If Bobby makes the Olympic team, his expenses would be paid by the Olympic Committee. But Ray Satterfield's trip to Munich must be provided by private contributions. And remember, if Ray can't go, Bobby can't go. Well, the contributions have come from many sources, from all over America, from Europe, from servicemen in Vietnam. $1 came from a nun in a convent. But Bobby Hunter never stays in the free world for long. The loneliness of the long-distance runner is ecstasy compared to the loneliness of the prison boxer who isn't eligible for parole until June 1973. At the Manning Correctional Institution, I remember one of the inmates saying, "The nights go fast, but the days go slow."
Well, the road to the Olympics can still be a pretty difficult one for Bobby Hunter. First of all, in order to qualify for our Olympic trials, he must win either the National AAU Championship, which takes place later this month in Las Vegas, or must win another tournament that takes place in the East a little bit later on. Then at the Olympic trials, of course, only one man from Bobby's weight class will make it to Munich. If and when he gets to Munich, however, and we definitely think that he has the ability to do it and that he will do it, Bobby should have a real good shot at the gold medal if, in his words, he can only beat that Russian. Well, in another minute, we're going to return to our coverage of the baseball strike. Howard Cosell will be along with word on exactly how the situation stands as of this hour on this night.
Hey, how did you swing another new Pontiac?
Another new Catalina, Wilson.
Feels good, but does it ride nice?
It's a wide track, Wilson. Now, you know how well they ride.
Hey, look out!
Ooh. Catalina's new front bumper system is designed to help protect it. The high trade-in I got on my last Catalina helped make it all possible. Wilson, money isn't everything.
I'm Joe Namath. When I can't play football, at least I can watch football and enjoy my new Hamilton Beach Butter-Up Popper. The only popper that butters its own popcorn. Just set the butter here and watch things start popping. It's so automatic I never have to scramble around. The new Hamilton Beach Butter-Up Popper. It makes great popcorn. And there's only one thing I like better than popcorn.
The Butter-Up Popper from the Hamilton Beach Scoville World of Appliances.
The baseball strike is 10 days old. All day-to-day meetings have been taking place in Washington and here in New York as desperate attempts are being made to resolve the issues. Now, tonight, on Monday Night Sports, you'll get your first direct report from 2 of the key principals, the executive director of the Players Association, Marvin Miller, and the president of the National League, Chub Feeney. With me now, Mr. Miller. Briefly, what's happened today?
Well, early this morning, Mr. Guerin and I met with the director of the Federal Mediation Service, Mr. Curtis Counts, in Washington, in his office. We discussed the issues. We then left, and after several hours of separate consultation, we met again and really did not make progress of a sufficient sort to be optimistic.
What issues remain?
Well, there really are only 2. One of them still dealing with the pension problem.
Is that resolvable in your mind?
In my mind, it's resolvable. The difference between the players' proposal for a 17% increase in retirement benefits and the owner's proposal is subject to compromise, and I think both sides know it can be worked out.
The other issue?
The other issue was introduced really last night and is now a terrible, terrible roadblock, and I do not know why it was introduced at this point. It is the issue of what happens if the owners decide to reschedule all the games that were missed, because they have said that they want two things. They want the right to reschedule so that there will still be a full 162-game season, and we've said fine. We will cooperate with that in every way. They then said, however, we will not pay the players for a full season. Now, this issue ought to be thoroughly understood. The players have lost some money, and so have the owners. The players make no proposal for recovery of the lost money due to the strike, none at all. We have given the owners the option. We have said, if you continue from here, there is no issue, there is no proposal for back pay, none.
Will you compromise this issue?
I don't see how you can. This issue is, at this point, up to the players. The owners, in effect, are saying...
You brought them in for a meeting tomorrow.
Yes. The owners, in effect, are saying, Howard, you've lost some production. We now want you to work overtime to make it up, and we will pay you zero for the overtime work. I think it is an incredible position. I cannot believe that that issue was meant seriously, and yet it is the roadblock introduced at the 11th hour.
Do you foresee any early resolution?
No, I don't. The executive board, as you noted, will come into New York tomorrow. I will present the proposals that were made today by the owners, which include this ironclad condition. You will work overtime for zero pay.
Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
Now, here is National League President Chub Feeney, his side of the case. First, Chub, did you make a proposal, a new one, to the players today?
Yes, a new proposal was made to the players today, and that is to use $400,000 additional funds instead of using it to fund the pension fund, as it is now being done, to use it to apply to new benefits for the players in their pension fund.
Mr. Miller just spoke. You heard him. He says he thinks that the pension benefit situation is resolvable. Do you agree?
Yes, I think it is. I think we're very close in that area, and that, after all, was the area that caused all this, caused the strike, and it seems to me now that both sides are approaching a solution on that particular point.
But you heard Mr. Miller describe the new issue relative to payment for a full season of play, and he says he is not malleable, nor are the players, on that issue.
Well, I don't think it's a new issue, Howie. I think it's implicit in the fact that the players striked. The owners have lost a considerable amount of money. Now, to play a schedule, it should be an even schedule to decide a champion. The clubs have lost some games. Some have lost games with what you might describe as weaker teams. Some have lost games with what you might describe as stronger teams. To get a true champion, those games should be made up. Now, there is no way that the revenue can come back. These are all opening games. They're opening series. For example, just to take one in Cincinnati, it's probably their biggest game of the year. That game is gone. But they should have a chance to play Houston, who they were opening with, at a later date to have a fair champion in the league.
All right, let's get to the nub of it quickly. When do you think the strike will be resolved?
I would hope it'd be resolved tomorrow. I have no idea. The sooner, the better from all our points of view.
Can anybody go out of business?
It's possible. We certainly would hope not. There are a great many marginal ball clubs in the leagues right now. There's some thought about curtailing the minor league play because the clubs just can't afford it unless they get the revenue at the major league level. It certainly is a possibility. We would hope that nobody would.
I hope not. Chub, thank you.
Thank you, Howard.
We'll be back with a wrap-up in just one moment.
C-U-R-A, Ventura. Ventura. It's an economy car.
It's a prestige car.
Ventura's an economy car.
With prestige.
Pontiac Ventura.
Right. From Pontiac.
Pontiac.
Ventura is the low-priced economy car from Pontiac.
V-E-N-T-A.
Ventura's a cut above.
Ventura.
Hey, what do you think of that? Chocolate pudding in a little aluminum can with an easy-to-open aluminum top. Hey, this is great for guys like me because when I want a little something extra in my lunch, Jeannie just throws a can of this in my bucket, and I can have a can of what you call gelatin or salad or pudding, or little fruit things. To me, this is a class lunch.
Change for the better with Alcoa aluminum packaging.
We have reached the end of the time span allotted to us for the second edition of Monday Night Sports. You may have seen in the TV guide listings or seen in our own ABC advertising that we had planned to present a segment tonight in which Eric Siegel, the author of Love Story, would be running and talking with the great miler Jim Ryan. Well, the late-breaking nature of our coverage of the baseball strike makes it impossible for us to show you that segment tonight. However, you will see it on our next show, which is Monday night, May 1st. Also on that evening, I'll be reporting live from the Indianapolis Speedway in Indiana on the first weekend of practice for this year's great 500-mile automobile race. And, of course, Howard Cosell will be along with more late-breaking stories. That, then, is Monday Night Sports for the evening of April 10th, 1972. For right now, this is Jim McKay, speaking also for Howard Cosell, saying good night.
Tomorrow night on the 6:30 movie, a flask of deadly virus is stolen from an experimental lab, and the thief threatens to use it to wipe out an entire city. George Mahara stars with Richard Basehart and Anne Francis in The Satan Bug. See this compelling science fiction thriller complete in 2 parts tomorrow and Wednesday nights on the Channel 7 6:30 movie.
An archaeological quest of the Americas on the Monday Night Special.
The executive...
3 quick-thinking contestants race against time for the keys to a brand new car on Split Second, the fastest game in television, tomorrow and every weekday at 12:30. Wednesday night at 8:30, Henry Fonda returns for an exciting new season as Detective Chad Smith on The Smith Family, here on ABC.
For Central Standard Time. Monday Night Sports has been brought to you by General Motors and the people who make Chevrolet, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, Cadillac, Opel, and GMC trucks. The cars and trucks with the GM mark of excellence. And by Pontiac and your Pontiac dealer, who also bring you the cars that are a cut above. The 1972 Wide Tracks. This has been an ABC Television Network sports presentation.
Hi, I'm Dick Cavett. My guests tonight are Gore Vidal, Maureen Stapleton, Ron Liebman, and author of Cover Up, Seymour Hersh. Join us.
Watch 30 minutes from now here on ABC.
In Vietnam, American B-52 bombers made their deepest flights of the war over the North today. The Los Angeles School Board tonight decided that it's going to have to cut nearly $40 million in salaries and services in the next fiscal year. And the Academy Awards. John Schubeck will have a special report.
In 1930, Pan Am opened Latin America to air travel. In 35, we opened the Pacific. In 39, the Atlantic. In 47, we made the first passenger flight ever to circle the globe. Someone else might have done all this, but they didn't. It's what makes Pan Am the world's most experienced airline.
The concept of a Chrysler has never changed. It's been an automobile that provided you with maximum comfort and a precise, responsive alliance with the road. It's been an automobile built with integrity to last. And with this Chrysler, it's an automobile almost anyone can afford. The 1972 Newport Royal.
Tuesday at 6:30, George Maharis tracks a dangerous course in The Satan Bug on the 6:30 movie.
On Channel 7 KABC TV, Los Angeles.
Good evening, I'm Joseph Benty, and this is Channel 7's Eyewitness News. The biggest single action of the Vietnam War today was over the second major port city in the north, Vinh. 8 B-52 bombers, each capable of carrying about 35 tons of bombs, raided the coastal town, 145 miles north of the demilitarized zone. The raid was significant because it is believed to have been the way President Nixon was showing the North that the United States still had power in Vietnam. It was the farthest the big bombers ever went north in the entire war, and it was their first raid of the North in 4 years. The raid was unusual for another reason. The big bombers cannot fly out of range of Soviet-made ground-to-air missiles, and so it was a calculated risk. None of the bombers was damaged. On the ground, action shifts from one major battlefield to a second. Quiet yesterday, the area around Quang Tri tonight is reported to be the scene of increasing action, and the Saigon military claims to have scored some major victories there. To the south, about 70 miles northwest of Saigon, there was heavier action reported earlier around the town of An Loc. Andrew Pearson reports.
Planes arrived to bomb and strafe in the forest on both sides of the highway. Airstrikes continue. Firing from the North Vietnamese force diminishes. They could be pulling back, but more likely just ducking into their trenches. More airstrikes come in. This time, the American-piloted Cobra gunships fire rockets and machine guns into the forest just ahead. A few hundred yards to the rear, the American advisor coordinates with the pilots who wait their turn at the bombing run. Gradually, the North Vietnamese rifle and mortar fire subsides, and there's time to take the wounded and dead away. The artillery begins when the bombers leave to rearm. The column of South Vietnamese soldiers is stalled for the moment. And you wonder how it is with the soldiers up ahead, surrounded in An Loc, and how many more ambushes there are between us and them.
At about the time correspondent Pearson filed that report, government troops pulled out of the town of Bo Duc near Saigon, near Saigon, a single enemy guerrilla penetrated a major government ammunition supply dump, setting off an explosion that destroyed at least a quarter of that ammunition dump. A late report from United Press International claims that hundreds of American infantrymen are being airlifted 400 miles north of Saigon to help defend a U.S. base at Phu Bai and a Navy radar station near Hue. There was also movement of Navy vessels from the West Coast today. 7 destroyers and a guided missile frigate left ports at San Diego and Long Beach for a rendezvous at sea with the aircraft carrier Midway. The Midway left its port in San Francisco. The Navy will not confirm reports that the fleet is headed for duty in the Gulf of Tonkin off the coast of North Vietnam. The Midway has been in and out of the war zone consistently since 1965. In Londonderry, Northern Ireland, the commander of a British Army patrol and his second-in-command were killed when a bomb exploded as the patrol was being stoned by a group of young boys in the Roman Catholic district of that town. The outlawed Irish Republican Army took credit for the bombing incident. Republican Congressman Bob Wilson of San Diego told the Senate Judiciary Committee today that there definitely was a $400,000 pledge from IT&T to the Republican National Convention. But Wilson said that pledge later was lowered to $200,000. Wilson testified the pledge had nothing to do with the government antitrust settlement in favor of IT&T. Police in San Diego are preparing for what might be called 2 conventions that are coming there this summer. The Republican National Convention inside the city's convention center and an expected convention of protesters outside.
All that preparation revolves around what has become one of America's greatest political spectacles.